Have you guys ever seen those little goats that just pass out if something stressful or scary happens? Well, I used to work with a soldier that we're just gonna call Carl, and he would do the exact same thing. Now, before we get into the story, please like the video, it helps out a ton. And also, we all love Carl. He was an amazing asset to the unit, but he was also a huge liability to the unit. So, why did Carl pass out? One thing you need to remember, in a soldier's life, a lot of things can be stressful. And we were actually a brand new unit in the 101st Airborne. So, as brand new combat engineers and a brand new unit in the 101st Airborne, we were doing a lot of training, and all the brand new privates had to be proficient in everything. So even though it sounds like I'm picking on Carl, there were a lot of other Carls who just could not handle the high-speed training. Now, I'm not here to make it sound like I'm so great and amazing, but if you were a Carl-level soldier, you were most likely not going to make it into the unit or through the training and probably get kicked out. So here's what happened. As soldiers, no matter what your rank is, you need to be able to assemble and disassemble your weapon fast. And even in basic training, you treat your rifle as if it's your family member. You protect it, you take care of it. Now, my team leader, he was training us on the 249 saw. I was a saw gunner. We were just training, assembling and disassembling the weapon system. Now, look, as a former saw gunner, I had a little bit of an advantage of already having used my saw, took apart my saw, so I got through the training pretty quick. Now, Carl's turn. He was sort of finicking with the parts, and most people know if you work with a saw, the parts can be a little jam-packed in there. However, when my team leader is yelling at you and he can be a little scary, Carl started to get a little flustered. And then all of a sudden, Carl puts his hands on his head and says, "Sergeant, I think I'm gonna pass out." And Carl proceeds to get on one knee and just sits there, and we're all looking at him like, is Carl okay? Now, a little insider information, Carl has actually done this before, and he's already been through medical assessment and eval, so we sort of know what's going on. And my team leader notices Carl has his lunchbox on the table. My team leader says, "Carl, have you eaten all of your lunch?" Carl says, "No, Sergeant, I haven't." "Carl, go and eat your lunch now." Carl proceeds to stand up gracefully, and he says, "You want me to eat all of it, Sergeant?" My team leader says, "Yes, Carl, all of it." And I will never forget this. Carl says, "Okay." And then he proceeds to take out an entire jar of peanut butter and a metal spoon in front of all of us. Now look, as soldiers, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we have the healthiest diet. However, we have access to a lot of food. Like, we have things called the DFAC, or the cafeteria for some of you, where we get free food. But nope, Carl took the entire jar of peanut butter and downed that whole thing, and I'm not kidding you, 10 minutes. And my team leader just looked at Carl like he always does and says, "Well, this is my soldier. This is what I have to deal with. We need to make sure he is as well trained as our best soldier." Now from here, as the days and months passed, Carl kept performing these type of episodes of quote unquote passing out. And it always happened to be during a stressful situation, which means it happened all the time. And unfortunately for Carl, his story might be coming to an end soon in my unit, but it's not quite over yet.